This is Professor Crystal Collins, and this video is being made for my Biology 202 class on plant science. This is our second YouTube video that will be focusing on the plant cells. In the first part of our plant biology class, we learned about the fundamental structures of plant cells. It's essential to note that plant cells are not identical in appearances. This is because plant cells are designed to perform specific functions. In part 2 of this class today, we are going to review the 4 types of plant cells. Plants, like any other living organism, are composed of cells. As a large multicellular organism, plants are specifically made up of eukaryotic cells. In part 1 of the structure of plant cells, we learned that eukaryotic cells have a variety of organelles inside, which are quite similar whether they belong to plants or animals. However, plant cells have a few key differences that make them easily identifiable under a microscope. Now, we know this class doesn't have any labs, so we won't be doing those experimental things to see for ourselves. But if you have a microscope at home and you're curious, please, by all means, utilize it. All right? These plant cells include the presence of the chloroplast. It includes a central vascular and a cell wall, all of which are structures absent in animal cells. So now that we have the basics of the plant cell structure understood, we need to get more specific about animals and humans like ourselves. As we learned in your human anatomy class, we have different cell types that allow for a wide variety of organs and tissues in our bodies. Plants are precisely the same way, in that not all cells in the plants are exactly the same. We can verify this just by looking at a tree. The roots of the tree, the trunk of the tree, the branches of the tree, and the leaves are all made out of cells, but those cells look very different under a microscope, and they have very different jobs. Just like our own nerve cells look very different from our muscle cells, which look very different from our skin cells, and so forth and so on. So now we're going to name the different types of plant cells and describe them. First one is meristematic cells. These are cell plants use to grow. These are called meristematic cells, and they're very much like the stem cells we have in our own bodies. What this means is that meristematic cells are undifferential, or without a specific job assigned to them, when they are first created through mitosis. So when meristematic cells divide and replicate, they can produce daughter cells belonging to other kind of plant cell. The important difference between meristematic cells in plants and stem cells in animals is that meristematic cells don't get used up, so they can continue dividing and helping the plant grow indefinitely. Meristematic cells can be found in the tips of the roots of the tree or the plant, which are the parts of the plant that grow down into the soil, and in the tips of the shoots, which are the parts of the plant that grow up into the air. This means meristematic cells allow the roots of a plant to grow deeper into the soil and the branches of a plant to grow up in the air. More specifically, they can be present in an apical or furthest position at the tips of the roots and shoots, the lateral or side position with a vascular or transportation tissues of the plant, or in the intercalary verticality position where branches intersect, where leaves attach to branches. I was going to try and find some branches or some leaves to show you to be able to identify what we're talking about. But I think you possibly can get the drift of what I'm showing you. The second type is parenchyma. It's a parenchyma cell, which does most of the work for the plant. So the parenchyma cell plays a critical role in photosynthesis, which is the energy and nutrient storage in plants, as well as the nutrient transport. So these cells have thin walls, lack specialized structures, and come in various shapes that support their distant functions. So the parenchyma cells are an essential part of a plant structure. These cells form two layers of mesophyll in the leaves where photosynthesis and gas exchange occur. In roots and seeds, parenchyma cells store starch, fat, and water. Additionally, they make up most of the structure of fruit. And when a plant is wounded, the parenchyma cell create new structures to heal the damaged area. And I believe you all have seen when a plant, the leaf breaks and then it starts to brown and then it starts to heal itself and repair itself. So that's what the parenchyma cell is. The third cell is chlorenchyma, which is the backup system for the plant. Chlorenchyma cells are a type of plant cell that serves as a backup system. These cells can contribute to photosynthesis and nutrient storage, but their most important function is to provide a flexible structure to the plant. Chlorenchyma cells are long cells with thickened cell walls, which make that part of the plant stiffer when they are in a group. You may have eaten chlorenchyma cells before. They are the strings in like the celery or what the celery are made up of. Those strings, if you've eaten those, then you have eaten chlorenchyma cells. So the chlorenchyma cells can keep leaves from tearing and to help them to bend and flex in the breeze and get the plant some room to stretch without breaking. So plants that experience a lot of bending due to the wind or other reasons have chlorenchyma cells that can be up to twice as normal. While chlorenchyma cells are stiff in structure, they are also very flexible and can grow and change as the plant grows. However, chlorenchyma cells do not last forever. In woody plants, they are only needed to stiffen and strengthen the plant until the sclerenchyma cells take over. And that's our final type of plant cell. The final type of plant cell, as we just mentioned, is the sclerenchyma. And these are a little different than the first three. Sclerenchyma also have thickened cell walls like the chlorenchyma. The real difference is that sclerenchyma cells are dead and found in parts of the plant that are no longer growing. These sclerenchyma cells provide the most support for the plant by creating woody tissues in stems and trunks. Sclerenchyma cell walls contain lots of cellulose and lignin, which are both complex biopolymers that are difficult to break, so they last a long time. These structured cells can be arranged in two basic ways. Sclerenchyma fabrics are stretched lengthwise in a plant stem and provide most of the plant support. These fibers are also what people use to make rope and fabric out of plants, such as the flax, the jute, and the hemp. The other group of sclerenchyma cells, this other group of sclerenchyma cells are called scleroid. I'll spell that and put that definition in the body of this YouTube video. And there must more vascular, my apologies, because this word scleroid is kind of challenging to say. But these cells are what make up the shells of like the nuts, the hard coatings of seeds, like those found in the peaches or the plums, and many other hardened structures in a plant. So now we know about the 4 types of the plant cells, those being the meristematic, and the variations of the 4 types of plants. But plants don't really function individually inside a plant. Instead, they clump together to form tissues with difficult jobs. So now we know about the 4 types of plant cells. However, cells don't really function individually inside a plant. Instead, they clump together to form tissues with different jobs. This means that tissues are what we will investigate next. So stay tuned. This is the second YouTube video. This is the 4 types of plant cells. And the next video, we will be discussing the plant tissues. And this will conclude our overview of the plant cells and tissues. So thank you. I look forward to you reviewing this video as well as the materials that are listed in your Canvas section. I look forward to your discussion of this section and your questions that you may have for me. So I appreciate you. I look forward to our next class, and I hope that this was useful and helpful to you, and we look forward again to a great semester together. Have a great day.